you are all here just in time to hear Taylor's topic of the week. Taylor, what do you want to talk about?
Welcome, everybody. You're here just in time. So over the course of the weekend, as we all know, SK Telecom T1, they won their third League of Legends World Championship. Michael may not know because he doesn't actually pay attention to anything, but it's fine. And I wanted to know, you guys, is it a bad thing for the game for a game that has only been around in a professional sense for 6 years, for one team to have won literally half of the world championships? For me, it seems like an issue of a lot of the other regions sort of becoming discouraged and not even really wanting to perhaps try to be competitive with Korea and SK Telecom, and sort of saying like, well, we're famous enough, we're just going to go ahead and perhaps just try to make money off this thing, like happens often in North America. But for me, I think really what's going to happen here is SKT has created this dynasty that the next team to knock them off is going to be sort of this legendary squad. It's going to be the god killers. I think it's really going to create a demand for true competitors to come forth and really try to knock them down. So for you guys, do you think that this is an issue for League of Legends? Do you think that it's going to be a problem going forward that SKT and the rest of Korea are just completely dominating the scene?
It's not an issue for League of Legends, too.
Okay, great.
I'm glad you asked me that question because I am here to answer it. Not an issue at all. So actually, I think that if anything, this reaffirms the idea that the best players in League of Legends will win, which is a great validation for the sport. And I think also you end up like some of the greatest moments, when people think of NBA, I don't follow basketball that much, but like Michael Jordan is such a prolific figure and so many people are comparing Faker to Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. These dynasties and these repeated victories and performances, I think are a great way to set up kind of these godlike figures that, like you were kind of implying there, a lot of the other regions, it's a big deal when you solo kill Faker, right? Like people
it's a huge deal.
Oh, you solo killed Faker. Like it creates almost like a benchmark and a milestone for people to try to reach for. It's fantastic. So I am super happy we went to 5 games. I think it would have been bad if it was a 3-0 shutout, but
it would have had another boring final.
Yes, but the fact that it went to 5 games was actually fantastic, and even then, like SKT winning, I think is only a good thing.
Absolutely. Like I'm in agreement with Travis. I think that sort of stuff builds hype as well. Like, when you have a team who comes close to beating them, like when Samsung Galaxy were like in their 3rd and 4th game, people were like, oh my God, are they actually going to do it? Like, are they going to break the streak? And that sort of stuff creates like, real excitement for people. And like, for another team to be able to come up and be like, we are the God Killers, that would have been so awesome and such a great moment for League of Legends esports.
But what happens if SKT wins again?
It's great.
Is it?
As long, look, I think.
Not gonna get bored?
No.
I don't think bored is the right word.
I think it's fine if they win again, as long as it's about the struggle, right? If they're just beating everyone and they're just rolling over everyone, then it's kind of pretty boring. But a great segue into Michael Martin's opinion. Michael, there are a great deal of fighting game players that have been winning things back to back to back for years and have these kind of legacies. I mean, what is it like, over these years and years and years?
Well, let me start by saying that somewhere someone is probably writing a Faker's Michael Jordan article. I think actually with Street Fighter V, this topic may be more prevalent with Street Fighter V. In the past, yes, players have dominated the scenes, but over the years, more players have come up and it's been competitive. But with Street Fighter V, I think there actually is a fear that a handful of players, Infiltration, maybe Daigo, who knows, will dominate the scene to the point that it actually might stifle and drive away competition. Like younger players or mid-tier players may just feel like this game is not, I'm not competitive enough for this game, and so why show up to these tournaments? Attendance has been really high for Capcom Pro Tour this year, but we expect that there's going to be a drop-off next year. The game's a year old, whatever. So it's interesting that if there is a dynasty, like I'm all for dynasties. I think it's great in traditional sports. It gives someone to root for or root against. But I can see in some cases where it's not a good thing for competition. And if you have the same group of people or players constantly winning, I could definitely see that being an issue as far as like the growth of the scene.
And we've already started seeing a little bit of people trying to really change that. Specifically, Korean players coming back from China. It's already started. Like Pawn and Deft, but already left EDG. Two of the best players in the world. One of which is known as the God Killer, known as the guy that beats Faker. That being Pawn. They have started to say, okay, we obviously don't know where they're going yet. They could be going back to Korea. They could be going to a different team in China that offered them more money. But what I suspect is happening here is these guys have said, okay, we've made our money in China. These teams have paid us millions of dollars to play for a year or two, and we're going to go back to Korea and say, okay, we're going to really settle down. The thing that I need to cement my legacy as one of the world's all-time great players is a world championship. So I think this is going to start really making competitors look at the way that they are practicing, the way that they are constructing their teams, and ensure that they're going to get back to the World Championship next season and make sure that they can compete once they're there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way that I would wrap this up is to say that no matter how many times Faker and SKT lift the trophy up, it only means it's even more exciting when you finally get it, right? Like the achievement is even higher, the mountain is even taller.
Money starts to mean less.
Yeah, and I mean, in League, from talking to the competitors, I mean, a lot of people talked about how TSM, some of the players could have streamed and made more money, but sacrificed that money for the sake of competition. And that's what I think, right? Is that as SKT continues to win, we will only see more and more people wanting to compete at those high levels and sort of dethrone them. So that's my take.
Check out Yahoo Esports Live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific.